were saying before it booted us, I think Notre Dame's going to end up having to join a conference at some point. It's going to be the Big Ten. So one of those 4 teams you named for the Pac-12, I think one of those isn't going to join, like Cal. I could deal without Cal. And then
I think the Big Ten's going to have to extend to Cal. They'll find some way politically. And let's be honest. I mean, if you can get Cal and Stanford into the league, that's one of the great rivalries in the game. And I don't know about you, but I know Ohio State played at Cal a few years ago, and that's not a bad trip to Berkeley.
Yeah, we did.
Real quick, Kyle. Shannon.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my shit's malfunctioning, but y'all don't need me to do this shit. Y'all go ahead, man. And if y'all hear me, y'all hear me. And if y'all don't, I won't pop out again, because when I popped out.
Well, but when you popped out, it dropped my call. Mine
I know. I did not know.
All of a sudden, there was nothing. Yeah.
I did not know that would happen, but yeah, I popped out because my mic had stopped working again. But can you hear me good now?
Yeah,
we can hear.
Okay, maybe I looked up and fixed it.
Did you smack the side of the computer?
I did not, but
that always works. That always works when I'm over at your house using your computer, just smacking the side of it.
Smacking off, yeah.
That's where it came in. Where the name of the show came from. You know this.
I love that.
Oh yeah. The 2 games I would look for. I would love. I know it's painful for you, Alex, but I have to assume going to Oregon would be a fun trip.
Yeah, we never got to because of COVID.
Yeah, and
I'd love to.
I know Bruce Martinez, dog father, and Sean has always told me, you got to go catch a game at Washington. So, that's I would be a huge fan of that. So, yeah,
their
I'm
stadium's
forward
different.
to the Big Ten cannibalization of the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for Oregon. I mean, the reason why we lost last year because we had a crappy defense. If we have a normal defense like we usually do, we probably beat Oregon. So I'm okay with playing Oregon.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing. I just wonder if we're gonna have if teams such as Oregon State and Washington State would be the draggers on Oregon and Washington getting into the conference.
Oregon has the Heisman dark horse at the moment, Bo Nix. Bo Nix is on fire. He's on fire for Oregon.
Well,
he is a duck through and through.
Indictment on Auburn that they couldn't figure out how to make him be this impact player. Now he's just 5 touchdown a game sort of guy. I mean, I know he's had at least 3 games this year where he's had 5 touchdowns.
Is it true what I heard?
The Auburn faithful has been telling us for years, at least past couple of years, that Bo Nix was all that in a bag of fries, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And so maybe it was a player development issue, which looks absolutely horrible for Gus Malzahn at the moment.
Is it true what I heard about Bo Nix, though? That he said if they play Georgia again in the playoff that they'll win?
Oh, I thought you were talking about his baby mama, the one that he abandoned. Landon Beeman likes to bring that one up pretty often. That's a very spicy piece of gossip here locally because but Bo he was throwing the ball not too terribly far from here in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I look at in the Gus bus. I mean, he's got those 2017 national champion.
We're not going to talk about that.
I mean, John Reese Plumlee. I mean, he's doing something from. They got a big game this weekend against Cincinnati.
They do.
They do.
And Gus is rolling in. I believe they have one loss on the season.
Who? Cincinnati?
No, UC.
2. They lost to Louisville and East Carolina last week. One of the odd games. If they were both one-loss teams, that would have been a ranked matchup for sure. And the winner of that game, you're looking forward to seeing that battle with Tulane for the American.
Oh, and by the way, can I go ahead and beat my chest really quick? Because I've been talking about this all season. It's been my little pet pet project that I've been working on, and that is Hugh Freeze to Auburn. If anybody's noticed, Liberty is just outside of the top 25 at 26 right now.
Hugh Freeze is coming to WVU.
You think so?
Yeah. Voice
I like that fit better.
Already championing the Hugh Freeze movement already.
I like that.
And that's what I'm saying. I've been screaming at the Auburn faithful to leave this Bryan Harsin guy alone and go after a proven winner. You want somebody who can beat Saban? There he is, right there.
Wait.
I mean, he likes to get his dick sucked every once in a while, but what guy doesn't?
Wait, if they're obviously probably going to fire Harsin at the end of the season.
If he makes it to the end of the season, I will be shocked. I don't care how much money they got left in this one.
But is Auburn ready to rehire Gus Malzahn and say they're sorry for ever firing him?
No, they don't have to. All they have to do is reach out to Hugh Freeze and throw any and all money they have left, which, believe it or not, is still quite a bit.
Why wouldn't you rehire the guy who's beat Saban the most? You know,
I mean,
just happy down in Central Florida.
I mean, if you want to talk about winning percentages, though, Hugh Freeze has a much better percentage against Saban.
Right now.
Which is true. I get it, but
Auburn's one of the worst jobs in the country right now.
It's pretty bad.
You know, grant you have a recruiting advantage of where Auburn's located on the Georgia border, which your proximity to Florida and Georgia is fantastic. But the expectations are beyond unrealistic because of a team in Tuscaloosa who's just seemingly wins and wins and wins.
But, Auburn went through this already for pretty much most of the history of their program. And then a fellow by the name of Pat Dye came along and really transformed that program and gave them their own identity. And I don't know what's happened since Pat's left, other than the fact that maybe Pat was a little bit too involved all the way down there toward the end. He was a very, very prominent trustee with a very loud voice when it came to coaching and coaching decisions, but apparently not loud enough.
It's a booster ran program there on the Plains, and it's the same problem that's happening in Texas. Like, Sarkisian's getting eaten alive out there, and, he's got to win some games out there, or else he might be on the block.
But you give Sarkisian a couple years with what little bit he's been able to put together there. I think Sarkisian could have a really good shot of turning Texas into somewhat of a contender.
Are they going to be patient enough for it?
No, they're not. And these booster-driven programs are just not. It is a game-by-game situation.
We see how that's working out at A&M.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we have to talk about Jimbo Fisher for half a second because the big incident that happened, nobody is talking about. # inside sources. Landon Beeman clued us in on the fact that this was actually Jimbo Fisher's son that was involved with this altercation, which I guess had either three. There were reports of possibly 4 players. I know one of the players is still on the team. And the others, which were 5 stars, were escorted to the door.
It's a tire fire. I just wrote in my maintenance report, this is a team that's a handful of plays away from being a 1-6 club right now.
Yeah.
They didn't bring Jimbo Fisher from Florida State to be an abysmal coach. They brought him over because they bought what they thought's the 2010 through 2016 Jimbo Fisher that was winning conference titles, going to New Year's 6 bowl games, and making moves. This is a disaster for him in College Station. And the fact that the boosters are already thinking about trying to fundraise for almost $100 million to get rid of him. That's a scary situation because let's think about this for a minute. You are going to get paid 9 figures to go away because you suck at your job. The fuck has happened to our society today?
Well, guys, I hate that the segment started out with technical difficulties, but let me go ahead and get you guys to predict on this Penn State Ohio State score, and we're going to have to move on to the next segment and hope it goes better than this one. But we got some good stuff here. But anyway, give us a prediction, guys.
You want to go first, Kyle?
Losers.
I want to know if I'm getting another year of Kyle admitting defeat prior to the game.
Oh, you already know it. They're 1-9 in the last 10 times. What? James Franklin can't win the big game. James Franklin is the guy that if you thought that he was your wingman to get pussy, you're going home and beating your dick into a tube saw.
That right there is a beautiful, beautiful clip, Doug. You need to definitely put a big red circle around that one.
Damn.
Yep.
Please.
Yep, I got it.
Please do.
Here's the thing. Tell me I'm a Penn State fan through and through. Tell me why I should believe in James Franklin in a big game right now.
If it was at night, you should. If it was at night, you should. I think it being at noon kind of kills it.
No.
12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 2:45 in the morning. It don't fucking matter.
Oh, hi. I'm Clemson Dane, and this is Smacking Off, the podcast.
It's like cocaine or something. I don't know. These motherfuckers just talk about college sports, specifically college football, and man, let me tell you, it's a hoot.
Support Smacking Off the podcast by patronizing our affiliates' products. Go to our website at smackology.42web.io and click the affiliates link. There you will find a host of great deals to stretch your dollar to its fullest.
Great products like Showtime, Shark Vacuums, Dish Network, Vidgo, Hulu, NFL Plus, and GameStop. The list goes on. Remember, smackology.42web.io and remember to click the affiliates link for these products and many more.
I like Franklin a lot, but he's at that point now where, hey, on a normal season, you're going to win me 9 or 10 games. Okay, I can live with that. But you know what? It's what do you do against Michigan? What do you do against Ohio State? You lose. These are the games that matter. And, I can't get excited for, oh, yes, we beat Maryland or we beat
wait a minute. I just thought about this. And I'm glad you brought up Auburn. This is what we do. James Franklin to Auburn, Hugh Freeze to Penn State. I love it. I'm on the phone with people on this about this right now.
Hey, James Franklin had some success in the SEC, so
he did with a much worse program.
Yeah,
you think Auburn's bad? Come on now.
Here's what I think what will happen in the game. I think Penn State. It's going to be between James Franklin and then Sean Clifford. First off, Sean Clifford is been there for almost 10 years at this point. He is what he is at this point. He's going to win you the games that Penn State should, but when it's those games that are at his level or above his level, he always seems to make things seem to just go disarray. I think Penn State will play it close to the half, and I think Ohio State just runs with it in the second half because Franklin goes look back at the Penn State Michigan game. It's 24-17 Michigan. Penn State has an opportunity on a fourth down. You could take a delay of game, give your punter more room, coffin corner kick, and hopefully give your defense some motivation of pinning Michigan back and playing a one-possession game. Instead, Franklin goes for it, and the momentum just completely goes to Michigan. Right on the next play, I think it was Donnie Edwards, or it was either Edwards or Corum who go for nearly 70 yards on the back-breaking score. It's those things that cost Penn State games. It'll happen again on Saturday. It'll be a 2-possession win. I mean, we'll keep it close. I'll hear after the game from all the Penn State delusionals. We kept it close. Victory. And you know what? I'm just going to be like, call me when you can you actually beat someone worth a damn. I mean, I guess if Penn State wins out from this at 10-2, they could possibly go to a New Year's Six bowl. I might get excited for the Orange Bowl against the ACC. Maybe play Wake Forest or Clemson. Who knows? That might get me excited. But right now, I'm expecting a loss and then a very boring final month of the season. So,
what's your score?
37-24.
Okay. For me, this game comes down to what version of C.J. Stroud am I going to get? Am I going to get the Ann Arbor version of C.J. Stroud, who put up some good numbers but couldn't finish drives to save his life and was running frantic and scared? Or am I going to get the C.J. Stroud, who's a Heisman candidate, and is he going to take that next step? I saw a lot of people like to call C.J. Stroud soft, and after some of the things I saw in the Iowa game, to a point, I agree. He does have some softness to him yet. This is the game where he breaks that mold. Or if he doesn't, then he's just going to never be the quarterback he wants to be at Ohio State. He's got to at some point. And some of the stuff I saw in the Iowa game, like after he got hit and fumbled the ball, he kind of just laid there instead of trying to get the ball back. And some other things, he was looking scared to get hit at some points. I'm like, okay, this guy's got to break out of this at some point because we're getting close to that game at the end of the season here. So what version of C.J. Stroud am I going to get? And I'm going to hope that I get the Heisman candidate version of C.J. Stroud that takes himself to the next level of his game. And if I get that, this game will not be close. And Penn State has great talent in their secondary, even though they rank 79th, I believe, in passing yards allowed, pass defense. That'll be the interesting matchup to me. If our receivers are able to get open like I know they can, we will do like what the team up north did to Penn State on the ground. We will do that to them through the air. And I think it'll be close for a half, and I do agree we go away with it in the second half. If I had to pick a score, after what I saw us do to Iowa when we finally started clicking offensively, now I know that what we do to Iowa doesn't translate to what we do to Penn State, but since I know what these wide receivers are capable of, I would say if we get it going like I know we can, it'll be 52-24 Ohio State in the end. It would not surprise me if it was a close game, though, because Penn State always seems to play us close.
Let me ask you one more question after you're done.
But if I get the C.J. Stroud that I know I can get, and those receivers get open, I think 52-24.
Over under, Alex. Okay. Penn State was able to keep Michigan under a quarter-mile rushing by 22 yards. So it's 440 yards for a quarter mile. Over under, C.J. Stroud over 440. And how many rushing yards do you think Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson get?
As far as Stroud goes, I would take the under by just a hair. I think he would get like high 300s. I don't foresee him getting 400 against Penn State. I was happy that he got what he did in the end against Iowa. I thought he was going to, at first, the way it was looking, I didn't think he was going to break 150, and then he ended up almost getting 300 passing. So I think we could do a little more against Penn State's defense. So I think he gets high 300s, maybe 4 touchdown passes, keeps his Heisman hopes alive, obviously, because Hendon Hooker has a decent matchup this week before Georgia the following week. But as far as Trey and Mayan go, it just depends. I mean, obviously we didn't do so well in the rush game against Iowa. We didn't rush a whole lot with both of them. I would like to see us try to rush a little bit more, since obviously the film will show that Penn State can be ran on, even though we went into that team up north matchup with them and saw a top 5 rush defense at the time get mauled, which still blows my mind how that happened. But I think we're going to, I don't know if we're going to rush too much. We're going to try to, do our usual passing more, and hopefully it'll work. And if it doesn't, hopefully Day doesn't do what he usually does and waits too damn long to get the run game going and kind of mix it up to make Penn State respect the run game, and then we start popping passes on them. So
I'm going to say Julian Fleming, who was a Pennsylvania kid.
Yeah. I'm hoping he pops off.
I think he's going to pop off on Saturday. I think this game has an extra oomph. I do think Jackson Smith and Jigba they're going to be bringing him back slowly. I don't think you're going to see him full reps this week. I think it'll be more than what he had against Iowa. But I'm seeing this week. I think Fleming or Ekbuka will do well. Harrison's going to go against Joey Porter Jr. all day.
Yeah, probably. And if he can get like 60 some yards receiving and a touchdown, I'll be happy with that. I don't know if he scores against Joey Porter because he's really good. But I think Julian Fleming, this has been a good year for him. Obviously, he's finally healthy, so that's good to see, and he's been making the most of it. He had 105 yards on 2 catches last week against Iowa and a touchdown that he said he almost didn't catch because he lost it in the sun. But Brian Hartline has been teaching them how to catch the sun, as they call it. And he actually ended up just catching it and running it in for a touchdown after he beat the DB on him. But I think this game's going to mean a lot to him. So I think he'll get a lot more of the reps than JSN will. And like you said, they'll kind of give him a little more reps this week, but they're not going to full-blown rush him back yet. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I won't be surprised if it's a close game. I won't be surprised if it's what I said it is. It just depends on what CJ Stroud I get. That really is what it's going to be to me.
It'll be his highest moment.
Defense I'm not worried about because unlike what Wolverines think, that our defense is still soft, this defense is a totally different beast this year, and I'm loving every second of it.
Is the Butkus Award winner, in my opinion.
Yeah, like Jim Knowles is doing an amazing job. I know we haven't played an offense really yet that's worth mentioning. I think Penn State will easily be the best offense we've played to date. Even better than Toledo. Yes, Shannon.
Hello, this is Viral TikTok King and Justin Brindley. You're watching Smacking Off the Podcast with Doug and Shannon.
You can now tag team our affiliate retail deals with Overstock, Walmart, and Best Buy.
Find our affiliate links at smackology.42web.io and click affiliates at the top of the page.
Scully's Scary Adventures for the entire month of October, only on Smacking Off the Podcast.
Alright, this story takes place, it was like the mid-90s. I was back home, and I went to this Halloween party, and this guy, at his house, he had a basement, a fully furnished basement down there. Well, everybody didn't want to smoke weed or do whatever, had to go down into the basement. And so I'm down there, and this guy shows up, and he's dressed like a tampon. Like, he's got like this white bodysuit and a white skull cap, and he got like spots of red on it, and he took a clothesline rope, for the string. Well, down in the basement, it was only lit by candles. There was a bunch of candles lit. So we're all sitting there talking. Well, my man gets a little too close to a candle. And with that cotton that he glued to his suit, he didn't realize how flammable he was. So his ass area gets too close, man. And I swear to God, this dude, like, it looked like he externally erupted and busted out. Dude, he went up in flames. I was like, holy fucking shit. My buddy goes, stop, drop, and roll, stop, drop, and roll. And finally, this chick, she was smart. She grabs, like, this throw blanket, wraps it around, like, tackles him with it. Wraps him and tackles him with it. Put him out. Dude ended up going to the hospital and had second-degree fucking burns all over his ass, back, and neck, and the back of his head. It was like the fucking craziest thing I ever seen in my life. I was like, holy shit. Like, whatever buzz I had, it was gone. It was immediately gone. But, did I ever tell you that story before? Because I kind of think it's pretty fitting for Halloween.
Tennessee, my ass. Hotty toddy.
Tennessee here.
Hotty toddy.
Come on there.
Yeah.
Hey, Ole Miss still controls their own destiny. So
this is very true. So does Alabama, for that matter.
Well, Ole Miss is better than Alabama.
Well, I mean, they get to face each other, so that problem's going to take care of itself.
Just like I told you, Tennessee was better than Alabama. Look what happened.
Where's that game at this year, Justin? Tuscaloosa, I believe.
I don't even know. I'd be guessing.
I think it was in Oxford last year, correct?
You know how many blackouts I've had since last year?
Yeah, it's been a lot. That was like hundreds.
Yeah, and you're asking me where they played last year.
Okay, fair enough. I'll Google it like a grown man. How's Landon Beeman doing? He's been extra agitated online lately. # fake profiles.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him. What is it? Him and Shannon Russell again?
No. That's a different thing now.
Do I still sound like I'm in a can?
Yeah, you sound like you're like in the bottom of a Pringles can, like my dad.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
There might be a effect, like Tiny Tim,
Tiny Tim had a hot wife.
Oh, really?
Say what you want to. Yeah, Miss Vicky. Remember they got married on the Tonight Show. At the time, it was the most watched television show in history, and that was up until the finale of MASH.
Wow.
I don't know why I know that.
I watched the Tonight Show probably from like 1976 to like, whenever I could see it, to the early 2000s.
Man, there were more than several episodes that Johnny Carson was completely, wasted drunk. And it was it's not only just a testament to what a true professional he is to be able to get up and do that show every night for years and years and years, but to be able to do it as wasted as that man got.
And then he'd bring Tim Conway and Dean Martin in at the same time, and then they'd all be drunk, right?
Oh, man. And I'm talking about just rolling, having some hilarious conversations because, again, that's why Carson, along with some of the best interviewers ever in the history of ever, I think there's a very small handful of people. Maybe Dave Letterman could be one of them.
Yeah, he was good.
Howard Stern, absolutely.
I love Howard Stern.
Howard Cosell. Howard Cosell was an amazing interviewer and really was able to kind of be able to. I think he was very instrumental in helping shape the personality that became Muhammad Ali. I think he was the most excellent foil.
I gotta say, Joe Rogan has got to be on this list.
Joe Rogan is an amazing interviewer, and I would have never guessed. Of course, when you go back and look at his background and see all the many things that he's been involved in over the years, it kind of makes sense. But it also speaks to the testament of the format of his show too, which started off as just a conversation between him and his buddy smoking a joint. And kind of
he's a stand-up comedian too. So that's
absolutely a stand-up comedian.
I think that's one of the hardest fucking jobs in the world.
Oh man, it really is. Especially when things are going bad. That is and then everybody's because I like to crack jokes from time to time, and I've had more than a couple people in my life suggest that I do stand-up comedy, and absolutely not. That is a very, very tough gig.
If I had ever lived anywhere where it could be done, where they had an open mic night and I could get my chance, I would do it.
I don't know. They got an open mic scene up there, don't they?
In Ashland, Kentucky?
Go up to dang Cincinnati, they have it.
Oh, yeah,
but you're not far from civilization, though.
All right, Bob, so Friday night in Lexington, we're doing it. You're gonna do it. I'm gonna drag you into a fucking open mic, guy.
Oh, we'll do it because it's so easy to talk about shit and it'd be funny, man. All you have to do is just talk about normal shit and act like it don't bother you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could ramble on and on together about anything, right? As long as it touches somebody's life and it's real to them, you know? And then you can start making up shit, right? I mean, it's just it never ends. It's just like rap. Any idiot can rhyme over a song. You know what I'm saying? I can rhyme about any subject you can come up with and just endlessly fucking babble on about nothing. And if people get paid for it, is what blows my mind. But I enjoyed. I love Tupac. I got to say that. But
No, look, but to be fair though, there is a certain artistry to a good portion of rappers that I've heard over the years, but that has greatly diminished.
Yeah, I mean, there's
it's
a
all
rhythm
about
and a meter
using 15, 20 people working on your one track, and it's definitely not the DIY affair that we grew up with Grandmaster Flash and Curtis Blow, and I'm going old school.
Oh yeah, when Flash and Mel, they had a rhythm and a meter that was unmistakable. They even knew when to take their breath, right? I mean, you was hanging on the next thing that they would say. You understand what I'm saying?
But man, I'll never forget when NWA's Straight Outta Compton dropped and it finally reached the shores of Birmingham, Alabama. And it was a very underground thing. And I remember when the poor white kids that were strung out on drugs were just really just like gravitating towards this, like in a way that you would have never imagined. Because, it's Alabama. I mean, that was, 20 years removed from the dogs and the policemen in the streets of Birmingham. So, I mean, there was still a great, and it was so weird coming up in the era of rap and hip hop and that whole thing exploding and being in an area like Alabama where there's so much racial divide and racial tension. And then you cut on some of these records and they're talking about providing racial tension from the other side of things. So it was a very fascinating time to grow up in. It really was.
It ruled the barracks, right, at Fort Bragg. I'm telling you, the NWA, when it come out, the people
fucking, hey, man.
It ruled.
Go anywhere without fucking hearing Ice Cube, hearing Eazy-E. I mean, it was as laid, as bare as you possibly could. And you didn't have to travel very far. You could see the things that they were talking about where I right now in Bessemer, Alabama, a great example, drug dealers with alligators, I mean, some crazy shit that really, finally was reaching the news of all of this stuff was reaching suburban living rooms. And, a lot of people would argue one way or the other that maybe it exacerbated it or glorified it in some kind of way or another, but who cares? It fucking banged.
Did you love the Ghetto Boys?
Man, man, I'm going to tell you what, Mind Playing Tricks on Me is, I think is from that era is the greatest hip hop team. Lyrical content, everybody's flow on it. Man, even man had some fucking killer ass rhymes. The video for that song, probably one of the most iconic rap videos ever, hands down.
Bushwick Bill was the fireman.
When Bushwick Bill jumped out of that tree on, I believe it was Tiny Lister is in, and jumps down on Tiny Lister talking about whooping his ass, and then come to find out there was nobody there. He was actually just like punching out a hallucination from staying up for 4 days smoking crack, the crack he's supposed to be selling. That was some hard shit, man. And, when you're a young white kid, 13, 14 years old, and you hear about some 15 years old, and you hear about some shit like that. It was really an eye opener. Of course, that was just the very beginning, and then of course you find out through guys like Public Enemy and stuff like that about why that stuff was going on, and CIA operations and this, that, and the other.
So when I started going to school at Okeechobee, that's what was happening when I crossed the train tracks, right? I never knew the experience of crossing the train tracks. It's very white here in Eastern Kentucky. So I go to Okeechobee in 1983, and I crossed the train tracks, and they're slinging crack on the corner. Later on, I'm playing basketball in school with these guys, right? They're listening to Eric B. and Rakim. They're listening to Electric Ingham, right? All the shit. I didn't know nothing about it, but they got me hip to it. You understand what I'm saying? And them guys were runners for the law. They had people watching every corner, telling you when the law came in the corners where they was at. Motherfuckers would disappear. It looked like a ghost town. They'd come to buy the basketball court and they'd say, "Why are you there?" I'd say, "You're the only white dude here. Why are you here? You must be on crack." I said, "No, I'm playing basketball. Can't you see I play basketball? There's Coach Delago. I want to start for the Brahmas. Don't you go to the games?" They'd say, "Fuck you," and run off.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
No, not really. I mean, we can, but can't.
Well, do me one favor. Get me some audio about Kentucky and Tennessee, please.
All right. Well, Justin,
there ain't much to say about Kentucky.
He sounds like he's in a producer booth.
Do what?
Doug sounds like he's in the producer booth. I mean, really, is there a whole hell of a lot to talk about this game? I mean, Tennessee is the greatest team in the land, according to all the ball fans, right?
They're pretty damn good.
They beat Alabama. That's all it takes. If you can beat Alabama,
they beat everybody.
It's 1990 all over again.
They beat everybody else in the Cowboys, Alabama. All the other wins were
Doug, you sound awful because we cannot hear words. I know you're talking, but I can't really make it out.
Hi, this is Kyle Golik, and I'm standing in the middle of SEC country. We're over here. Big Ten country here. Where do I stand? SEC, Big Ten. SEC, Big Ten. You're listening to the Smacking Off the Podcast.
Support Smacking Off the Podcast by patronizing our affiliates' products. Go to our website at smackology.42web.io and click the affiliates link. There you will find a host of great deals to stretch your dollar to its fullest.
Great products like Showtime, Shark Vacuums, Dish Network, Vidgo, Hulu, NFL Plus, and GameStop. The list goes on. Remember, smackology.42web.io and remember to click the affiliates link for these products and many more.
But let's go to Tennessee. They got the number one offense in the country. They just passed the Ohio Bobcats. They're averaging 50 points a game. I mean, it's just
balling.
I mean, it's
balling
just
hard.
But their defense is giving up 329 yards a game, and they're last in the country in time of possession. It's like playing a video game, right? I mean, I have to say that it's. But Heupel was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma when they couldn't beat anybody. They put up lots of points, though. And here's what's going to happen, I think, is that Kentucky is going to possess the ball a long time. They're going to take a big punch for Tennessee in the beginning and be there in the end to win it or lose it.
I don't know. I think Tennessee's going to score 40 points.
That's what I'm saying. For Kentucky to win, it has to be like a 30-27 game.
Is this better than the 2019 Miracle LSU Tigers?
I kind of see.
No, because they got no defense.
I kind of see the game the way that my boy Bob sees it. I think it's really strength on strength. You know, it's Tennessee's high flying offense against Kentucky's stout defense, and you know it's Kentucky's running ability against what is probably the best part of Tennessee's defense is just being able to stop the run. So to me, it's going to come down to can Kentucky throw the ball? If they're able to throw the ball and control the time of possession, keep Tennessee's offense off the field, you know, it could end up being a much closer game than a lot of people think. But it's really
what's the spread on it?
I've seen several spreads anywhere from -4 to -11 for Tennessee.
Well, if it's -4 Tennessee, that's free money.
Yeah, I don't know. I
11 sounds like a lot.
11's a lot.
What's more interesting to me is what's the over/under on this game, knowing what Dane just said a moment ago, the strengths of both teams.
It has to be like 82.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
That's ridiculous.
It can't be that high.
Last year it was what, 45 to 42? But I don't think it's going to go like that.
What do y'all think it is? Without looking good.
The over under. I'm just going to guess, and I'm trying to look it up right now, but I'm going to guess and say
I'm looking at it.
Okay, then I'm going to say 64.
Okay. What do y'all think?
I said it was 80 something.
It's actually 61 and a half.
Oh, wow.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I think I would have
there is an expectation that Kentucky is going to contain Tennessee.
That's probably going to go over.
LSU. Oh my God.
That's probably going over.
Kentucky doesn't want to play a high scoring game with Tennessee when they can run the football. I'm with Dane, and I think the X factor in the game is a guy named Bryan Brown. Now, obviously Will Levis blew his first round overall pick hopes against Ole Miss by fumbling the game away 3 times, right? But in that game, Bryan Brown nearly took it to the house 3 times, and he tripped over his own guys twice. I believe he leads the SEC and maybe the country in return yardage.
I was sick for Kentucky that game against Ole Miss. Like the Kentucky should have won that game.
Yeah, they fumbled. He fumbled the ball away. I wondered if it was rigged. You know,
it was tough.
It was tough, and that boy Bryan Brown. That's where Tennessee. I think Tennessee's just mind-boggling on offense, and it's really respectable. They're bad against the pass. We got a deep play threat, but they're stout against the run. They're 8th overall in the country against the run. A lot of people don't know that Tennessee's 8th overall. But on the other hand, Chris Rodriguez can drag guys 6 yards. All we got to do is control the clock. And what I think is going to happen is Tennessee will probably get a big lead. Kentucky will go into the half, maybe down 21-10. Come back in the second half, hold Tennessee scoreless for like a quarter, and then lose the game at the end. It's going to be like 31-30.
31-30, and that keeps them in right at the.
If Kentucky wins the game, it's very interesting in the SEC because Tennessee and Georgia still have to play each other, and Georgia and Kentucky still have to play each other. Kentucky could redeem their season even just being a spoiler, right? And and Georgia, they look pretty stout, but at least we get them at home. But I'm real interested against Tennessee because Tennessee's the polar opposite of Georgia. Tennessee's reminds me of Oklahoma in the early 2000s. They look a lot like them, and the reason their defense isn't ranked higher is because they're on the field too long. If Tennessee spent some of the game controlling the football when they had the lead, then their defense could take over. But unfortunately, since they have to be on the field for nearly every down, because Tennessee scores quick, right? So then the defense comes back out, and they're out there for a while.
Robert, do you like Tennessee at all? Like, I know you like Kentucky, but do you cheer for the Vols at all? Were you happy for them?
Well, I mean,
fuck them Vols.
Really, I hate Tennessee, I kind of say, but the Alabama dynasty is going to end sooner or later.
Yeah, I've said that for years.
Right, and Saban's going to retire.
Y'all are just talking this shit because Doug's microphone's messed up right now. But yeah, go ahead.
That's exactly why.
I'm just saying, right? Somebody has to take it over. Florida's dropped the ball over and over.
Hugh Freeze to Alabama. Breaking news: Hugh Freeze is going to be in Alabama in
That'd be the best thing
years.
that would ever happen to y'all if Saban was to retire.
That would be amazing
when he does retire.
Mike Price.
But no, Alabama's tough. I don't think it's going to fall off. But I believe Tennessee and Alabama as a rivalry is more interesting than many of the other rivalries. And it's very important nationally and in the SEC, right? And for Tennessee's got to be competitive in that to make it a real rivalry.
I mean, again, they're going to have to keep this up because, boy, they've had an awful showing for quite some time before then. And look, we had the Mike years, and we could still eke out wins against Tennessee.
So now it's just more interesting.
Not no far removed from 1998.
Not no more.
Well, we hit a wall this year. Let's see if Saban's able to make an adjustment. If and when everybody's able to rematch in the SEC championship, I know that we're looking too far ahead for such an event because, again, this is also Ole Miss's, pretty much their shot to lose the playoffs as well. They're going to have to play the game of their life against Alabama this season. And if
I don't even think they have to play the game of their life against that Alabama team. No, they don't.
Here's the problem with why Alabama's lost and nobody's talking about, right? Nobody's being honest and analyzing why Alabama hasn't been good in these games sometimes late. It's because Young keeps throwing the ball on the damn ground.
He can't see over the line. He's too little.
He's throwing the ball in the damn dirt. And they run 3 pass plays in a row at the end of the Tennessee game for no reason, right? Had timeouts, had field position, had everything needed. 3 plays and threw it. 3 plays. They didn't even run it one time. They should have run it just one time to build just a little bit of clock and get in a slightly better position. But instead, the guy throws the ball in the dirt. Now, he's good, but maybe Justin's right. He can't see over the line for whatever reason. He put the ball in the dirt. He's the Heisman Trophy winner last year, but this year, when it comes down to winning or losing, Bryce Young's put the ball in the dirt.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. He's going to be probably a top 5 pick in the NFL. He ain't going to do shit in the NFL. He's going to go to a bad team first off, and that's not going to help him. But he's too little, and his arms not strong enough.
So just
man, I just came.
Do y'all believe his intangibles are as good as Tua's?
I mean, they kind of remind me a lot of each other. Honestly,
we're
they're
not
both
allowed
little.
to talk about Tua right now on this show. There's a Tua moratorium. We've placed.
Tua's back. Tua's back.
He is, but at the same time, that was such a horrific injury. I think it's probably best that we just don't bring him up anymore.
I think the real problem is the offensive coordinator. If you want the truth of it, right? I mean, he was a whole lot better. And see, that's the thing about Saban retiring, going back to it. So part of the brain trust is over in Georgia. And Kirby Smart is young, right? Kentucky is making the SEC East a little more interesting, but they're not really going to break through unless they get a 5-star quarterback. And they're just not getting those guys. They have to transfer portal, right? So Tennessee can get those guys. So if they challenge Georgia and they challenge Alabama every year, the SEC becomes more interesting. It matters. And I don't think Florida is not going to come back and have Kentucky again. It's just done for Florida, right? They might be 3rd or 4th. They might make a good showing every 3 or 4 years, but Kentucky's out recruiting them, out playing them, and out coaching them, right? And they don't have to compete for the same recruits, so therefore Kentucky's getting their recruits from Ohio and Michigan, right? And they're winning those guys against Ohio State and Michigan, right? And now those young guys can't block to save their lives. And that's the real problem of why Kentucky can't beat Tennessee this weekend without just a game of a lifetime, because they can't protect Will Levis. If they can keep Will Levis upright, Kentucky wins the game. But they can't keep Levis upright. They've chased him around like a dog all season long where he fumbled the game away against Ole Miss.
You might as well just start looking forward to college basketball, Kentucky basketball.
Well, no, we've got good enough football now that it's interesting. We'll probably go to the Citrus Bowl, right? I mean, after Outback, but still to go to the next level. It's great to get these guys from the transfer portal, but there's a reason they're in it. The reason they're in the transfer portal is because wherever they was at, they weren't the guy, right? So they've got to get a 5-star guy to come to Kentucky as quarterback. Now, they finally got wide receivers. They got 2 guys on the field right now that's fucking bad the bone, and we just talked about one of them. Every time he touches the ball, they can take it to the house. But I think the coach is not as arrogant at Tennessee, and he's not going to kick to Bryan Brown, so he ain't going to have to worry about him taking it to the house every time he touches the football. So Tennessee's smarter, but I mean, I love Lane Kiffin because the way he emotionally coaches the game, sometimes it rolls, but in this case,
he'll call it crazy,
right? But I do know that Tennessee's not going to kick the ball to Bryan Brown, right? And that Will Levis ain't going to have enough time to get it to him and Dane Key for them to match Tennessee and score. So the only way they win the game is to run it over and over again and create turnovers. And they can do both those things, actually.
Well, and yeah, Kentucky is going to have a really, really exceptional defensive show. There's just no 2 ways around it. For Again, there have just been so many comparisons between this year's Tennessee, where they're at right now, in comparison with LSU a few years ago with Joe Burrow. So yeah, it's just absolutely crazy.
And the guys that were on that offense for that 2009 LSU team, you had Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That offense. I'm missing another. Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. You can't miss him. Yeah. Burrow didn't. Not very often throughout the season, that's for sure.
But Tennessee's got wideouts too. That one boy was hurt. He's gonna be back for this game. Which the guy? He's probably first round pick.
I can just say real quick, fuck that LSU team.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Go Vols. Hey, I'm going 47-22. 47-22 Tennessee over Kentucky.
Take the over. Justin Pike, that's your lock of the week.
I'm all over the over.
Hell yeah.
And then next week, I'm in Facebook jail. I got another 8 days until I'm out. I hate that I'm not online right now during all this, but I'll get out the day before the Georgia game.
Well, you have so many fake profiles to be able to
but I don't want people to know who my fake profiles are. I gotta hide it.
Landon Beeman. Hashtag Landon Beeman. Hashtag fake
Landon's
profiles.
real.
Yeah.
And Uncle Hood.
No, you're Landon. I like it when you do your Landon voice. You sound so smart and young.
Landon is smart.
He is.
Yeah, he's bright. It's undeniable. I enjoy listening to him talk football. And just like me, he gets emotional. I hate Tennessee, so I'd like to say, yeah, Kentucky's going to stop Tennessee, right? Fuck Tennessee, right? But just, I got to analyze it. I've seen a lot of football, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Hey, if I ever sung you my Rocky Top song, how about this one? Rotten crotch will always be home sweet home to thee, good old rotten crotch.
Here's 6 things that you can do to help support this podcast. Like, share and comment on our videos. Buy our merchandise. Use our affiliate web links to buy great products and services from our affiliates. And tell others about our podcast.